All right, so it says we're live again, and we're having a heck of a time staying live. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't think it's my network. I think YouTube just doesn't like all of the things that we've got going on here. So if you were in the old stream, I'm going to need you to everybody's filtering in now. Okay. Not sure how this looks. The last time I did it this way, it was really choppy. And I'm going to plug a different mic in, see if I can get a different mic going here. I don't know if it'll let me change inputs on the fly like that. Let's see. So it's probably using the hey, Philip Knudsen, Knudsen. Are you in the States? Are you down in the Branson, Missouri area? Knudsen. Philip, if you can hear me, let me know if you are down in the Branson, Missouri area. Oh, you're in Sweden. Okay. So there are some I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Knudsen. There's some Knudsens down around the Branson area. Does the audio sound okay on this? Because I feel like it's probably going through. I don't see a place where I can for sure switch. Let's see. Switch to. I don't see a place where I can switch to my Pro mic. So Mitch says the audio is fine. Better than before. Okay. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. So I'm not 100% sure what happened. Audio just switched to a mic. Okay, maybe it switched. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what's been going on with the live. I tried Chrome. I was like, Chrome will be no big deal, but it was a big deal. Chrome was a really big deal. It didn't want to work at all. But anyway, no, I am not a member of Spiceworks. I do not use Spiceworks. People are telling me that I should. But yeah, toys are for boys. So let's talk about AirFiber. I am not fortunate enough to have any AirFiber HD yet. Hey Hugo, but I have I have configured AirFiber several times. And they do have on the store, there is an AirFiber, like the subscriber unit, but you can't order it without being invited. It was really weird. So you can see it, but when you click on it, it won't let you buy it without an invite. So that's something new. It looks like that they've brought to the Ubiquiti store. Hugo, yes, the new cloud key, the Gen 2, and I'm not talking about the Gen 2 Plus. I haven't had a chance to look at the Gen 2 Plus yet, which is the one with the NVR. But I do have a standard Gen 2 cloud key, and man, I love that thing. You can pull the power, it goes through its shutdown. No more scrogged MongoDB. So, the other stream still has people on it. Can somebody go to that stream and say, hey, we had to start a new stream because the other device did whatever? I don't have access to it right now, the way this works. So if somebody could do that, that'd be awesome. Unky Joe's with us. Hope you're wearing that hat I sent you, Unky Joe. All right, hold on. Going through the comments here. David Stevenson says, Willie, looking for one of the pass-through crimpers. Have you found... So, Cat 7. I haven't done anything past Cat 6. Now, I know that Cat 7 and Cat 8 are out there. I know you have to be very careful with Cat 7 because there's a lot of aluminum, copper-coated stuff, and it causes problems with PoE. So, no, I haven't, David. I don't personally know anybody that's doing Cat 7 or Cat 8 at this point. I know it's out there, but it's just like everything else. It'll take a while to get to the masses. Brett wants to know what voice over IP phone that is behind me. This one or this one? So the one by the rack or the one on the shelf? who asked that? That was yeah, I would appreciate a few thumbs up. That's awesome. So I don't know 100% like how the YouTube algorithm works, but apparently there's a page, and I just found this out actually literally yesterday, that there's a page just for live streams. So this could show up on a live stream, and I guess that's where all your trollers come from, right? You know, so like the people that come in, they put all the porn stuff in, they put all the crap in, and we have to ban them. I guess those people probably find us on that live stream page, if I had to guess. But because I'm in a pretty specific niche, right? So I don't know. Hell, maybe there are people that like to troll people like me. So I don't know. So let's see. DNS KSK is breaking things. Yeah, I read an article about that the new keys or whatever were rolling. So that definitely could be. Yeah, Unky Joe, my wife has finally just said, I think in her mind, let him grow the damn beard and get it out of his system. I think that's where she's at with it. She started kissing me again, which might be a good sign, right? So now that it's soft, I still can't get her to like, you know, like an evil genius, like stroke the beard, but baby steps. So the phone on by the rack. So this is my daily driver. This is a Grandstream GXP 2170. I can do a full review workup on this. This is a very popular phone. I think one of the best phones that Grandstream makes. You can kind of see my logo there, but this is my daily driver. So if you call my office, this is the phone that you talk to me on. And a lot of people, when they talk to me, they're like, man, this is clear. And I'm like, between VoIP and that, I mean, you can't really go wrong. All right. So Unky Joe says Cloud Key replaces me needing to run Unifi on another machine. I am a little unclear as to its usage. So yes, Unky Joe, the Cloud Key is it's an appliance created by Ubiquiti. Let me see what I've got back here. All right. So there's actually been 3 generations of Cloud Keys. Let's talk about this. Hey, Clarence, I'm glad you're here. So let's talk about this. So there were actually 2 revisions of this Cloud Key. And this is the Cloud Key. The first one, you can see it's got the Ethernet here. It's PoE. It came with a little short, stubby, flat Ethernet cable. On this side was the 5-volt plug-in and the SD card. There were actually 2 different models of this released. One, I'm not 100% sure of the specs. I know that the SD card that came with the second revision was a larger SD card. Well, if you've watched my Cloud Key recovery videos, you know that if you cut the power to this guy, the first time you might get away with it. The second time, you're going to scrog your MongoDB. You're going to have to run a repair or restore. So it's very, very sensitive. And I think I know that people buy a lot of these. I configure them. And it used to be, I probably rescued 10 of these a month for people. And as the software's gotten better, as we talk about putting things on a battery backup, I probably repair 2 a month now. But anyway, yes, Unky Joe, this runs Linux. It's got a version of Debian Linux inside of it that Ubiquiti has crafted to run specifically on this device. And then, so you've got your underlying operating system, and then the Unifi controller runs on this. Ubiquiti releases not only updates for the underlying operating system, but then also Unifi, and it can update this automatically with the click of a button. And I'm hoping that they bring that to regular controllers at some point. But I have a lot of clients that like these because, this guy was $79. You got a controller on site. You can keep it locked up. You don't have to worry about, certain things. I can actually take this, since it runs Linux, and I can create a reverse SSH or reverse VPN connection back to HQ and get into that network. So that is one thing you can do because it runs Linux. Now, to address some of the issues, man, look how shiny that damn thing is. To address some of the issues, Ubiquiti has now released what they are calling Gen 2 of the Cloud Key. And you can see it's USB-C powered. It doesn't have to be USB-C powered. It can also be powered by PoE, or it's got the USB-C, it's got the SD card slot, it's got an actual power button, and then on this side, it's got an actual display. So it boots up, it shows you the IP address, and all those good things. It's also got a on the back. They are going to be coming out with a dock. That's what everybody keeps saying on the Cloud Key Gen 2, because this is labeled as a dock, a rack connector dock or something like that. So I don't know if I can actually. You know what? Give me just a second. I think I was working on something for a client with an edge router light and an HP switch that I'm going to do a review and a setup video on. And the switch just happens to be PoE, and my daughter took my little table that I use. So I've got a little wooden crate down here that came from a, what was the name of that thing you guys got me? A man box or something like that? Man crate. My family got me a man crate for Father's Day last year. And the crate's just, it's not only was all the stuff that came in the crate cool, but the crate itself was cool. And so I kept it, because it's got a lot of utility. And so now you can't see it, but there's an HP switch at my feet sitting on this, because my loving daughter has my little table. I had a little table I bought from Costco. It was about 2 feet tall. And she's using that. But anyway, let's see if this thing powers up. So I plugged it into a PoE port, and yeah, it is booting up. I don't know if I'm going to get anything on the screen yet. Okay, so we've got a flashing LED, and now on the screen, if you can see, on the screen, we've got the Ubiquiti logo, and you can see things are starting to happen. So at a glance on this, you get IP address. You can tell how many people are connected, all kinds of stuff. Hi, I'm live. So just, okay, that's fine. I'm live. It's okay. You can't come on camera though. Nope. my daughter's a shutterbug, and I really like you guys, but I don't want her. She's young, a little young, I think, to be in front of the camera. So you can see that it's still booting. And you get statistics, and it will auto scroll and things like that. I don't know if they are going to allow us to put custom things on the screen. What would be really nice is if I had this deployed out in the field, is if I could put for service call H5 technology, 309-446-0048. That would be awesome, right? Put my company name on there, and you can see that it didn't get DHCP. So it's got a fallback address of 192.168.1.30. It's got Bluetooth, so it's got low power Bluetooth. I'm going to do I'll do a full video on this now that there's no embargo, now that this is a thing that you can buy. I'll do a full video on this. Now, it also has the battery. Now, this has been unplugged for a little while, so the battery probably does not have a really good charge. So I'm not going to unplug it at the moment, but maybe towards the end of the live stream, I'll unplug it, and I'll show you that it does the shutdown automatically and saves your it will save your MongoDB. So we'll set this down on that HP switch, and we'll let that guy charge. All right, so let me scroll back up through the questions, through the comments. Yeah, man, I really think, Unky Joe, that I'm rocking the beard. I don't know. My wife's over here doing a few things. Am I rocking the beard, babe? She went, So, all right. Yeah. So, Jack Squat says Cat 7 is not a thing. The standards skipped over it. Cat 8 is the thing. Well, this cat stopped at Cat 6E for now. But I'm sure that once I get in to more, 10, 40, 100 gig networking, that some of these things are going to come into play. Clarence, I'm glad to see you here. Clarence, please set up a time with me. Let's go over your Grandstream issues. Let's talk about that. All right. So Brett Barker asked, the voice over IP phone. No, it is not a Sangoma. I do not sell Sangoma gear. I sell, or I point you to buy Grandstream, Yealink, Snom, Cisco. I don't do the Sangoma. So ET Moore, hey Taylor, I don't see the WAP RF environment on the new Unifi 5.9 controller. Is that are you talking about the environment scan where it'll scan? We may have to take a look at that. So if you're not a professional Wi-Fi installer all the time, sometimes these things kind of sneak up on you. I've had enough requests to do some custom videos for some training on the Wi-Fi part of specifically just for Wi-Fi on Unifi, that those videos are coming. I'm going to make that a priority now that the weather's turning colder. So we're going to get into some of that. Let's see. Havoc says, running the beard like Santa there. I may dye it white come December. We'll see. But working on getting my bowl full of jelly down so that I don't shake when I laugh. Let's see. Let's see here. Sorry, folks. I'm just scrolling through the questions. I want to respond. Yeah, Havoc. I put the cap on there basically to cover the end cap. All right. Any suggestions on migrating from 5.9 to 29 to 5.6.40? That's gonna be difficult. You may want to contact me offline for that downgrade. That I'm not sure if you can go that direction. I've not had anybody ask that question or even attempt it, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. Yeah. Interesting. Morning, James. James and I just quoted we may have talked about this last week, but quoted a 190 handset Grandstream voice over IP deployment for a school district, and it's spread out amongst 5 buildings. Don't know if we got it yet. We submitted our bid. I will tell you that we were we were bidding against an NEC system. And I didn't know that NEC NEC was still a thing. But we were, bidding against NEC, and we were significantly cheaper. And so I hope we get that. That'll be a nice one for us. That'll be a nice feather in our cap to say, hey, we got 190 handset deployment spread out over 5 campuses. So that'll be really nice. Let's see. Good morning, Bob. Bob is in the great north up there. Let's see here. Is it worth upgrading from Gen 1 to Gen 2? Chris asked. So is it worth it going from Gen 1 to Gen 2? In my opinion, yes. Just the fact that this has a battery backup, it is. That, or if you don't want the cloud key, we can talk about cloud controller, appliance, or whatever. But whatever you do, you need to make sure that you have a good power. Good power is really important. Let's see here. Could the Gen 2 handle 2 to 3 sites? Oh, Patrick, yeah, easy. The Gen 2 has more memory, more storage, and more memory, and I think it has a faster processor. It should, hands down. I don't know what Ubiquiti officially says, but I mean, you could probably put quite a few more sites on this thing. And this thing, I mean, this thing is they really did put some thought into this. And if you've thought about, there's different places that you can host your Unifi, but if you like the in-house stuff, for $179, take that thing, put it on the rack. Now it's got its own UPS built into it. You're going to be, I think you're going to be happy with it. All right. Is the wife not always right? The wife is always right. Even when she's wrong, she's right. Remember that. Remember that. It's not a beard. It's awesomeness springing forward from your face. Yeah, I actually did. I had to trim it too because it was getting kind of gnarly. All right, Chris says, uh, looking for a good content filtering DNS provider for my church. What do you guys recommend? I recommend DNSfilter.com. I've also had a NX filter reach out to me, and that is actually a solution you can run on site. So we're going to be doing some NX filter videos. They're not paying me, but I work with an ISP out in Utah, a WISP, and he is deploying it there. So he's going to have it's going to be like a bolt-on service that families who don't want any of that crap coming in, he's going to filter it at the source. And so we're kind of playing with that. All right. Let's see. What about USG firewall for home lab? So, in the past, I did some PfSense videos, right? And you're actually going to see a video on this guy. But I just want to tell you right now, PfSense is coming back to the lab. And if you don't recognize this, this is a Netgate SG1000. It's the smallest PfSense appliance that there is. But they did not send this to me. I paid for this out of my own pocket. I didn't want to run PfSense in a virtual machine anymore. I got a ton of email about those. There's more water. I got a ton of emails about the lab environment. And I actually had people in some other countries who were using my videos to go through courses in college. And after we emailed back and forth quite a bit, we're able to get them up and going so they can complete their labs for college. But I thought, you know what, just do it. The people deserve a physical appliance. So I did buy the smallest appliance. And when I start doing the videos, yes, I hope Netgate notices. And yes, I hope Netgate sends me some gear. But I bought this. We're going to use this. I actually cut the video for this, and it's been sitting there, and I haven't even released it to Patreon yet. Which if you're not a Patreon member, Patreon members are going to get early access to a lot of content, and there is a higher level of Patreon access where those videos will actually never be released to YouTube. But I haven't released it there. I can't decide if I want to redo it. I mean, it's about a 15-minute video, and we unbox it at the table. And I hope you guys like the new video format. When I'm not behind the computer, I've really started to put a lot of thought into that to give you guys a better result, a better experience there. But I'm thinking about redoing the video. Maybe not. We'll have to see. But yeah, lots of PfSense videos coming. OpenSense, I am going to do some OpenSense videos because I am a fan of OpenSense for handing it off to a client. But I thought, you know what? We could just teach the clients PfSense, and then they'll have some reference videos, and it'll be in my teaching style. So that is definitely coming. Let's see. What firewall do I have? Jonathan Anderson asked, what firewall do I have? Well, a shorter list might be what don't I have? Right now, my daily driver is this Edge Router 4, because as you know, I now have gigabit internet, and a lot of you, we're going to do some videos for the gigabit IPsec testing, and then we are going to create a huge IPsec spoken hub network, and I'm going to be putting a video out on that, and there's going to be a shared document, and you all are going to have to put your IPs and credentials and stuff. I got to figure out the security aspect, excuse me, of that. But then my info will be in the file, so you'll be able to go ahead and plug in, and we are going to start creating that huge hub and spoke IPsec network and see where we can make things fall apart. But firewalls. So you can see the Palo Alto back there. There's a Grandstream. There's Synology. edge routers, USGs. I've got untangle boxes, PfSense boxes, Indian firewall boxes. So I've got a lot of different kinds of firewalls. And to me, firewall is a firewall is a firewall, because they should all be designed to read the rules in order, right? So once you understand that, you've got that base understanding of how a firewall works, right? It reads rules. Then you just have to figure out the nuances, the way that they name interfaces or the way that they implement certain things. But if you understand, if you have a base level understanding, you can work with any firewall. Just like if you understand switching and you understand core switching concepts, you can use any switch and make it talk to any switch. So let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. Download the app. All right, let's unplug this. This has been plugged in for a few minutes, but let's unplug it from the Ethernet and see what happens. If it powers off, obviously I didn't have it powered up long enough, but I just unplugged the Ethernet cable. So now you can see it says power disconnected, shutting down. And it is going to power off the cloud key. You probably didn't think that this was going to work. You probably thought I was making it up. Nope, I would never lie to you on purpose. And there you go. Cloud key shut itself off. Lost power, graceful shutdown, MongoDB intact. Love it. Love it. All right. Let's see. Open DNS, Jonathan, too expensive. And now that Cisco owns them, I'm running as fast as I can the other way. I cut my teeth in networking with Cisco actually before I was actually trained on Cisco back in the 90s, late 90s. There was a company called Eastern Research, and they had the first routers with integrated CSU DSUs for T1s, if any of you know what that is. And they had the first menu-driven router, and it was awesome. We also did DS3 mucks with them, and some of you guys are going, what's that? Old copper stuff. You know, DS3s are probably still around, maybe. I don't know. With the advent of fiber, I would hope that anybody who's on a DS3 would look at moving to fiber. Good morning, everybody who's coming in. Let's see. Yeah, Pi-hole. I thought about doing some Pi-hole videos, but there's some good videos out there. I've got a friend that's an IT administrator for a metal building company, and he loves Pi-hole. Maybe I'll ask him if he'll do some videos, and then I'll just post them. Perry George says, trouble finding a residential contractor to do 12 home runs of 6E, terminate into blocks, etc. How much should this cost? My wire pulling days are over. So Perry, that's going to depend where you're at in the country and the state laws and the union environment. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So like in Peoria, Illinois, I could get somebody to do 12 runs for you for $600. That's running, terminating, and all of that. Now that's residential, and that's a dude who will do it at $50 a drop. I end up cleaning up a lot after this guy. However, if you don't mind doing a little bit of cleanup yourself, you could get that done for $600. And this guy's a professional, so I know at least his terminations are mostly good. I still test the cables, but to get a professional contractor, you know, that has to pay into the union to do 12 runs, it's going to be expensive. So you can get everything in between. Let's see here. YouTube keeps blowing these up here for me. Can you migrate from Gen 1 to Gen 2 via Wizard? You can migrate from any Unifi controller to another Unifi controller using the Wizard, as long as you know the IP addresses and all that good stuff. Which is better to play Fortnite on, Nokia or iPhone? So if you've ever noticed, the only thing that I use my cell phones for is for capturing video, taking pictures, social media. I have less than 5 games installed on this. And one of these games, it's my wife's fault that I actually have it. I have Yahtzee with friends on here, and I like Yahtzee. Then I have some Bubble Game, and then I've got Mega Touch games. Remember the Mega Touches in the bars? I used to work on those in a previous life when I repaired video games. In fact, funny story, you know, I was young, and Merit Industries, who made the Mega Touch machines, they were charging almost $200 for a CD-ROM drive when they would go bad. So back then in the bars, people could smoke, right? So, and bars were really smoky. and the CD-ROM drives would get all gunked up because of the nicotine and everything. They'd quit working. And I told my boss, I pulled one out and I was like, man, this is a regular CD-ROM drive. And they changed the jumper. And I'm like, can I try this? Right. So I go to Best Buy. He sends me to Best Buy. I buy a $50, I think at the time, I don't know, I think it was Light On or Creative, one of the two. Bought a $50 CD drive, bring it back, had to set the jumpers a little different, plug it in, put the Megatouch CD in, boom, Megatouch starts working again. He sends me back to Best Buy. We buy every CD-ROM they have on the shelf. And so that's really, back then, that was when PCs were starting to really get integrated into arcade games. Back then, it was a different time back then. But from what I understand, if you're going to play Fortnite, you're going to want a Samsung. Didn't they do exclusive or something with that? I don't know. I'm not, you should go over to Unbox Therapy or one of the people who do cell phone stuff and ask them. Yeah, Clarence says we've been doing a lot of Cat 6 plenum lately. So if you don't know what plenum is, just real quick, plenum, the space between, if you've got like a drop ceiling, this is the easiest way for me to explain it. So if you're a contractor, don't get pissed off if this isn't exactly it. But the quickest, easiest way for me to explain is we have what's called the plenum space. And so the most common place that I may see this is if I've got a drop ceiling and then I've got a real ceiling and then there's a plenum space in between there. And if you've got like cold air returns and stuff like that, Clarence is right. You have to run a special rated cable. Anything that's in there has to be rated, plenum rated. So you'll find that everything that's plenum rated is at least 2 times more expensive than it has to be because you have to follow code and things have to be plenum. Now, I'm a huge fan of following code. I love rules when it comes to things like that because you want to, make people be safe or whatever. But vendors definitely do take advantage of that, and that's business, right? But apparently when things that are plenum rated burn, the gas isn't as deadly, or it's not supposed to be whatever. So let's see here. The structured cable train. Yes. So I do want to do structured cabling. Unifi's website still shows the Gen 1 Cloud Key. Yeah, they're still selling the Gen 1 Cloud Keys and the Gen 2, but the Gen 2 Cloud Key, this is now general availability. You can now order this. So let's see here. Unky Joe says, I installed the UCM 6202. Works well, the interface. Yeah, I figured it out. So for me, when it comes to VoIP, the Grandstream interface is very intuitive. I took someone that has 0 experience with voice over IP, and within just a couple hours of picking through the interface, they figured it out. So yeah, it's very, very intuitive. Jorgen wants to know, can you make some videos about Manager LAN on USG Pro 4? Can you explain that a little bit, please? I think here, Mark says, I think UB&T messed up the pricing with the Gen 2 Cloud Key. So just the Cloud Key part is $179, but the Plus version with a hard drive and NVR is $199. I don't know if that's on purpose. Maybe there's only so many of these made, and once these are gone, maybe they're only going to have the big one. I don't know. If anybody from oh, you guys, I don't know if my wife is still watching this or not, but I just caught this. This is my lovely wife right here, Samantha Howe. Can you make a video on how to fix my phone? So there are only 2 iPhones in this environment, and every night at like 9:30, my wife's phone, the Wi-Fi stops. Everybody else, actually my son's does too, their iOS devices, and like we're trying to troubleshoot this and figure it out. So I'm like thinking that I may buy her like the LG G7, or maybe we'll get her away from iPhone and get her to an Android device, and she won't have these problems, because when they're all locked up, and I promise there's nothing sketchy going on in the configuration. So if my wife's still watching, love you, babe. All right. Category 7A is not recognized in the TIA EIA Cat 8. So yeah, when we get into the it's just like people were selling and installing Cat 6 before it was a thing, right? And so Cat 6 is supposed to have some very, the reason you're supposed to shove the jackets and the connections have to be so tight and you have qualifying and all this is because you're supposed to have very little untwist, right? Like we're talking like fractions of an inch of untwist and things like that. But people were selling Cat 6, and I could take you and show you some shitty installations of Cat 6 where there's this much conductor that's not in the sheath and it's all spread out. And I can tell you, there's no way in hell it ever passed a certification. Ever. Visually, I fail it. I'm not even going to plug the tester into it when I know what my tolerances are supposed to be. So somebody said, what do I think about Unifi Protect? I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket with any product, and I don't have Unifi Protect. I know that I've seen it. I haven't run it. If Ubiquiti sends me a CloudKey Gen 2 Plus, I will do a video on it, and I will give you my honest opinion. They have not shipped me one, so there may not be a video, and I don't think they've shipped. I haven't seen anybody else do a video on it yet either. So, but I will tell you, I'm not going to buy one. Here's my opinion. So, what I've seen floated to me and somebody pinged me is they said that they want Unifi Protect. This came from the Ubiquiti Discord channel. They want Unifi Protect to be so simple that, this guy's parents can take it, plug it in, and it works. That's fine. Take it out of the Unifi line, put it under the Amplify line, sell it as Amplify Connect, Amplify, give the Unifi professionals the option to install it bigger and better because you're limiting yourself to 20 cameras. I don't know. I will tell you that as much of a fanboy as I am of Ubiquiti, there are better camera systems. There are better camera systems out there. And it's just like anything else. It depends on what you're going to use it for. So I would love to have one of those, and I would gladly do videos if they send me one. But like I said, UPS hasn't given me any delivery times yet. So let's see here. Ashley Rodriguez. Wait, please give me a shout out and say my name. So Ashley wants a shout out and then told me to say a name that's not Ashley, but it's Dan. And damn, I'm confused now. All right. Hey, Dan. Grandstream GWN 7000 makes a great router and firewall. James is absolutely correct. If you haven't seen my first video on that, go out and take a look at it. I'm going to do a new video. So Grandstream, I talked to them and they're like, as long as you tell people that stuff's beta, do beta videos, let them know what's coming. So Grandstream does have a beta version of the firmware out for the GWN 7000. Watch for that video. I'm going to try to get that out this week. I got a Synology video that I want to get out too. So Jack Squat, I don't know if they're coming out with a new router. They are coming out with a new firmware. I've also been pushing them to come out with switches. So if you're in the WISP business and you're not in the WISP Facebook page, there's a WISP Facebook page. Go check that out. Join if you're interested in WISP stuff. If you're not a WISP, you could ask some questions, but I would lay low because it's like anything else where there's a bunch of experts in the field. If they sense blood in the water, they may strike. But somebody posted pictures from Wispapalooza, and Cambium they're coming out with their own Ethernet switches. I've been pushing Grandstream. I'm like, look, you need the full stack, man. Because I'll tell you what, right now, when I deploy a full Grandstream solution, so you're talking about Grandstream phone system, Grandstream router, Grandstream access points, I'm using HP switches. I'm not using Ubiquiti switches, right? I love this HP switch. So I am going to get that review done this weekend and get it out to my patron folks first. And then I love this HP switch, man. And we just deployed 2 of these in Wisconsin remotely, and we're having a little bit of an issue with one with an edge router, but I think it's got to do with the edge router firmware. I think I found a bug in the edge router. So we're dealing with that. Let's see. Unky Joe says, I am concerned that the SG-1000 will not handle some of the advanced features of PfSense. I could be wrong, like adding IPS filtering monitoring. I will be curious to see how it works out. Me too, Unky Joe. Me too, man. We're gonna do that together. Havoc says, after naming all the firewalls you only use one in the end. Think of all the troubleshooting that would lead to running all at once. Oh my God, wouldn't that be hilarious? I should totally do that. I should do a video where it's just manufacturer after manufacturer after manufacturer after manufacturer. And then we do a trace route. That would be hilarious. That would make a great video. But then people will get upset. They're like, it's clickbait, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it would be just a fun video to show you guys. Like, I've got 17 firewalls. Stuff's not going to work right. 17 NATs. They don't work right when we're natted 3 times here in the lab. Hey, Jeff. All right, let's see what other questions have come in here. Let's see. Lots of questions. Kimberly DiBiase, are you any, here's a throwback for wrestling fans, Ted DiBiase, probably not any relation. In fact, Ted DiBiase may have been a made-up name. Let's see here. Perry says, yeah, I deployed DSU, CSU in the 90s. Yeah, if anybody remembers the big, huge AdTran CSU, DSUs, and when you screwed them into the router, you had to screw one side in and then the other. You couldn't screw them in together. Let's see here. Yeah, no, the stream's still going. So it's your connection. Hey, Bill Coon, how you doing? Let's see. I am just scrolling through the comments. All right, Oliver says, don't you think the Unifi light switches should also be Wi-Fi access points, or at least another version that is? Here's what I think. I think Ubiquiti has a lot of products, and they need to polish some of the things that we're looking for, like multiple WAN IPs on the USG, before we get too much more stuff out there. If you go and you read, there's lots of negative stuff out there because they'll spin these products up and then they kill them, when they could have taken those resources and concentrated on making current product that people use better. It is what it is. I mean, Willie, where do you find jobs to bid on? Word of mouth? Referrals are a huge part of business. And do some free work for people and get your name out there. Havoc says, what do you think should handle DHCP, the router or the AP? Well, so in the networking world in 2018, lots of devices are all shoved together. So APs are routers and switches, or they have that. A single box has all of that functionality. And it depends. Is it a Windows environment? Because if I'm running Windows Active Directory services, I'm probably going to let the Windows server take care of DHCP and DNS. So, Bird 203, I have no idea what you're talking about with the no sound issues on Grandstream. Jog my memory. Let's see here. I know what's wrong with your wife's iPhone. It's another device, DVR, access point, Wi-Fi photo. It's something that wants to use the same IP address, but only connects once per day. Interesting, because I have an IoT network and those devices are segregated, and my DHCP lease is actually more than one day. So I will check that though, Oliver. Thanks for the tip, Oliver. I'm gonna actually, you know what? No, you think I'm messing with you, right? But I got a little book where I write stuff down because I'm starting to get to the point where I can't remember. But I'm gonna check the IP addresses of my wife's phone, and we'll check the DHCP stuff and see if that's it. If it is, I'll let you know. All right, I know why you need to reboot the router. I had the same issue. I don't reboot the router. I don't reboot the router. What cable tester do you use? Personally, I love Fluke. Fluke makes a great product. I've reached out to Ideal. The Ideal crimper video, by the way, if you didn't watch that, I love this FT45, and just like anything else, you're going to get 1,000 different opinions on this. But Ideal makes cable testers and certifiers, and I have asked them if they would send me one because I want to take cables made with Ideal RJ45s and with this crimper, and I want to certify them, and see if they certify. If you follow me on Twitter, we just had this conversation this morning about the Klein tools. One of the things that somebody said is their first Klein tools out of the package, cables failed certification. It was a review. Now, is it a fake review? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if paladins like go write negative reviews. I don't know. So, so, so Mark says, I use Protect. My biggest problem is there's not an easy way to get it to show on the TV. I don't know anything about Protect because I'm not running it. I'm still running Unifi Video where I have Unifi cameras. Unky Joe says, Blue Iris is what I use. I have 2 big Blue Iris installations. Now, Blue Iris can only handle 50 cameras, and we've got one where we're pushing that limit. Jonathan Anderson says, I'm looking at deploying a 150 camera system, and I'm looking at Video Insight. Yeah, you could also check out ExactVision. I love ExactVision. I don't like the licensing that goes with it, but I like the product. Let's see here. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get through these. I love that you guys are engaging with us this morning, and we're getting lots of questions and lots of comments. Can get a 4K camera for the same price of a Ubiquiti. Yeah, Ubiquiti's price. So what Ubiquiti is counting on is Ubiquiti is counting on the loyalists, the tribe they've built, running out and buying this. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is where we're going to start seeing the tribe go, hold on a second. And I'm part of that tribe, you know, and you guys are part of my tribe, and we're all part of the Ubiquiti tribe, right? And a lot of us are going, what is going on? What's going on? I don't know. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Let's see. Oliver says, what voice over IP PBX solution do you recommend for a small pizza business with 2 phones? So for 2 phones, depending on what you need, you could do an on-prem. You could do a cloud hosted. But if you want on-prem, I would go with a 6202, UCM 6202, and a couple $30 phones. So for less than $300, you're going to have a phone system. Bird says, have you used PepLink routers? Rock solid. So I have a PepLink, and I need to do a video on it because a friend of mine, Michael, sent that to me. I need to get that video done. Now that I've got a new place that I'm shooting videos and stuff like that, I hope to get much more of that done. Willie, can you do an updated WAN configuration setting up stickies? Is there a way to set up dual WAN on existing edge router without blowing up the configurator? Yeah, absolutely. Edge router is flexible as the day is long. So yeah, you can do that, Nick. Gene says, any idea if LAN topology runs in Wine? So for those of you who don't know, Wine is a Windows emulator software that runs on Mac and Linux and allows you to run those programs, Windows programs, a lot of Windows programs on Mac and Linux. Gene, I don't know, but I should definitely throw it on my Kali machine and see. And for those of you who don't know what Kali is a pen testing Linux distribution. If you would like to see videos on Kali Linux and how to use real tools, give me a thumbs up, put it in the chat, shoot me an email, because that's something else. I mean, 50% of my day job is security. And so we get to mess with some pretty cool tools. And we're not really well known in this circle for that yet, but I'm writing some stuff about government and government security, and hoping to do some talks and stuff like that and kind of break into that. But we'll see. Let's see. What are the benefits of Unifi versus other managed equipment such as switches and routers? Calvin, that question is kind of broken a little bit. I mean, it's a lot of it's brand preference. Unifi doesn't do anything that any other router doesn't do, to be honest with you. Well, yeah, it does. It only allows you to use one WAN IP address. The truth. This is the truth, you know? Hell yes, DiBiase. Yeah, so somebody else is a wrestling fan too. I had a nightmare with Apple devices since updating to 3.9.54. Oh, interesting. Need to check that out as well. Yeah, Unky Joe knows what I'm talking about. Well, lease lines, T1s back in the day. So when I had, back in 1998, I had the first dial-up internet company in the prefix that I lived in, and I had a fractional T1. I didn't even have a full T1. If I had a full T1, man, I'd have owned the world, right? So a T1, if you don't know, is 1.544, wait for it, megabits per second. So there's 24 64K channels in a T1. I started with 128K, 2 channels, but I had to cross LATAs. So LATAs are like where telcos have the state cut up, and that's their territory, right? So for me to get a T1 from at the time was GTE over to, at that time, was Ameritech, and to my provider, just the fractional T1 circuit cost me $2,000 a month. Then I had to pay my upstream service provider, and I was only charging $19.99 a month. At the time, it was revolutionary. I was only charging $19.99 a month. I didn't care about making money. I was breaking even, and I was making it so that people didn't have long distance phone bills. Because at the time for us, it was long distance to call and get on the internet, right? So anybody in my prefix could now pay $19.99 a month. And I went to your house at the time and I set your internet up, right? It was awesome. It was good times. I met a lot of good people, learned a lot of things about business at the age of 15 when I had that dial-up internet company. So, and I can say that I've been doing this professionally since I was 15. Let's see. Is a gateway necessary for an office with 5? So I'm not sure what kind of gateway you're asking about, Randy, but if you want to get out on the internet, yes, you need a gateway. Or if you want to go to a different network, yes, you need a gateway. Smart Home and Theater says, oh, where'd it go? I just became a Patreon supporter. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. And yes, thank you. I cannot say enough. I like that. Unifi Video will not overwrite old recordings. Sure it will if you have it set up properly, Eduardo. All right. Somebody says, I love using the Platinum Tools Easy RJ40 Pro HD crimp tool, which I get. Okay. I'll have to check that one out. Maybe somebody could reach out. I don't have a, Platinum Tools when it sends me one. We should do it. We'll do a tool shoot off. Now, I know that I have a preference, but I will give all of them a fair shake. We'll put them right in a row. We'll do a crimp. We'll talk about pros and cons. Hell, we'll do it live. Somebody get me in touch with Platinum Tools. Brogan's Sock Puppets. I am doing well, and I love that name. All right, let's see here. Hey, Willie, I have a firewall rule to drop all other DNS on port 53 on my edge router and only allow users to connect via the DNS provided via DHCP. Users are using a VPN and bypassing restrictions. Yes, they are probably doing that. Now, I've seen places block VPN. There are school districts that I've worked with. They block VPN. They pay a lot of money to block VPN too, right? So is that risk reward pricing factor, is it worth it to you to pay a lot of money to block that stuff? Because you can do it, but you got to pay a lot of money. Brogan's Sock Puppet says, do you play games? Brogan, yes, I play Day of Defeat Source, which is a World War II game, Axis and Allies. I think it's based on some engine that other games are based on. So if you want to look me up on there, my name is Lloyd Clinton. If you're on Steam and you want to become my Steam friend and you want to play Day of Defeat Source, or I've got Left 4 Dead 2. I like Left 4 Dead 2. I'm a big horror fan, so Left 4 Dead 2 is my jam. But yeah, look me up on Steam under Lloyd Clinton. And, throw me a friend request and we'll game together. Maybe we'll do a live stream gaming. I don't know. Yeah, Jonathan says Kali is the fix stuff and find problems distro. Yeah, Kali will teach you if your critical thinking skills are kind of on the edge. Kali will help you hone your critical thinking skills. The stuff that you can do in Kali that people actually don't believe, it will blow your mind. Fabian says, I recently updated my Unifi cloud key and I tried to update my access point, but it fails. What else can I do? So a lot of time when a majority of the time when I see firmware upgrades fail on Unifi equipment, it's because the piece of hardware doesn't have a good DNS server. So a couple of things you could do is cache the firmware locally and then push it, or you should make sure that your Unifi equipment has a good DNS server so that it can get out to the NTP server, so that it has the proper time, so that the logs all correlate properly. It's very important that we have good time across all the devices. I'm orchestrating to you, by the way. Yeah, time is hugely important. Because we need to be able to correlate things and figure out when things happened. And then that goes back into authenticity. It goes back into reliability. There's another word I'm looking for. What is it? Having the proper time, not genuine, authentic. It'll come to me when we'll be talking about something else, but check your DNS servers. Let's see. Brogan's sock puppets. I'm going to put the user in timeout. I don't even know what that does. Hid some messages and stuff like that. That's cool. Yeah, so let's talk about dual WAN on the USG. So I actually have an edge router light here because I'm troubleshooting for a client. But I also have my USG 3, right? So within the software now, I can have dual WAN. So the voice over IP port can actually be WAN 2. But here's another thing that if anybody from Ubiquiti is listening, or Robert Para, who probably doesn't even know who I am, if he happens to be listening, please fix this. If we're doing dual WAN on here right now, when the dual WAN fails over, it's only outbound traffic. Your inbound firewall rules don't get translated over to WAN 2. So if you only want outbound traffic to fail over, you're golden. But if you're running some services behind this thing with your single IP address on WAN 1, you're screwed. So that's something else we need to get fixed. Just put an edge router in. Call me. We'll translate your config over to an edge router. We'll figure it out. Edge router can do all the things. All the things. Let's see here. Unifi uses, whoop. I'm trying to read these. I love it that you guys are getting in here and you're putting comments in. I love it. I love it. It makes me feel like, what we're doing matters here. Let's see. Unifi uses the SDN where many other traditional products use dedicated switch or router setup. That is my curiosity. Preference seems to be the difference. Yeah, well, what I do like, and what I like about the SDN model is that, yes, you have a single pane of glass, but you can be alerted and see quickly from one, making things simple. When you run an infrastructure like I do at my day job, and there's only 2 of you, being able to have all the alerting and everything and respond quickly. Management, I will tell you, management is not usually proactive unless IT can explain to them that there's some benefit with pie charts and graphs. Management is not, so IT needs to be proactive instead of reactive. And things like the SDN, and people get upset about SDN, whatever. But things like the SDN help IT be proactive instead of reactive, right? I'm looking at my dashboard today on whatever software it is. And, I noticed that I'm getting like 30% lag over here and 15% packet loss over here. Well, okay, there might be an issue. So let's start looking into it. Let's fix it before it becomes an outage. So, yeah, Unky Joe knows my pain. When he was a WISP, he was paying $395 a month for a T1. That was cheap, man. If I could have got my T1 for $395, I'd have stayed in business. Yeah, IDSL, ISDN, we joke, because it was the bandwidth on that, I think, was 128K. ISDN stood for it still does nothing. Matt Marvin says, Willie, regarding certifications, do you see them as important? Do you try? So for my day job, I used to have a lot of certifications. I still have a lot of certifications, but with those certifications, if you don't want to be a paper tiger, which means I studied the book and I went and passed a cert, and when somebody questions you on something, you fall apart. If I'm getting a certification, I'm not going to be a paper tiger. I'm going to do it. I'm going to build a lab, and I'm not just going to memorize shit and go take a test. That's not the way to do it. I will tell you, certification, the thing that I enjoy about certifications is the actual when you go to a manufacturer and you use their curriculum, right? They're going to put stuff in that curriculum that you may never be able to extract by yourself. Every time I've done training for a manufacturer, I have learned something new, and that's what I like. Things that make you more efficient, things that make you faster, things that when the company says, well, we can save you money by doing this, and you've played with the manual and they're like, I don't know. But when you learn that little thing, it's rewarding. So I don't think that certifications are definitely, I don't think that they're useless. I think that they have some value in getting you the interview. But if you are doing it not to be a paper tiger, to actually learn things, it's much better. Now, when it comes to hiring people, unless I've got a contract that says you have to have, this Cisco's training and VMware's training programs makes them millions of dollars. It's a racket for them, right? But like if I'm hiring you and I can talk to you and I know that you know your stuff and you're relatively good with people, I'm probably going to hire you over the person who's got alphabet soup behind their name but can't answer any of my technical questions, right? So, and I think as far as education could be an entire 2-hour video topic by itself. We're sending kids to get into debt. I'm telling you, I've got student loan debt. Right. I've got a huge amount of student loan debt that I'm paying off and want to get out from underneath. And it holds us back. It holds us back from all kinds of things that we want to do. And when you have debt like that, you're a slave to the debt. I mean, that's a fact. And we are setting kids up in the US, we're setting them up to be indentured servants to this. And they may not need to be, because we talked about this last week. We have a huge shortage of the skilled trades. Learn a skill. This low voltage cabling stuff that we're going to be learning. You can make great money doing cabling. Yeah, not everybody likes to do cabling, but you can make a lot of money doing cabling. All right. So, hi, Willie. Have you heard that with new Unifi controller version, you could use a WAN port as a LAN port? I haven't tried it, but I think I did hear that. Let's see. DNAT can also do the remapping of DNS. Still won't work for VPN. Excellent. Yeah. So if people are bypassing your rules, your VPN, first of all, is probably going out port 443. And unless you're inspecting that traffic at a different layer, you're stuck. All right. Okay. So Randy says, I asked the gateway question. I should have shared more. 5 workstations hardwired to an edge router, no Wi-Fi desired. Do I need the Ubiquiti gateway? Well, if you want internet, you have to have a gateway. It doesn't have to be Ubiquiti. So the edge router is a gateway. So I'm dissecting the way you asked that question. So an edge router is a gateway. No, you don't need the USG. If you already have an edge router, you don't need it. If you don't want Wi-Fi, even if you want to install, Ubiquiti Wi-Fi. Oh no! Oh man, I'm knocking stuff all over the place. Believe it or not, I was organized. I was organized a few minutes ago. I know you don't believe it, but so even if you want to this is one of the old Gen 1 LRs, right? So if you want to deploy this, you don't need the gateway. I can use this with any manufacturer's firewall. I can use this with any switches, as long as you can get passive PoE to this guy, right? But that Grandstream right there, I got the Grandstream AP. You can see it right there. I love these Grandstream APs. And I can use it with, all the vendors are interoperable unless you're talking about video. Let's see. Yep, Unky Joe says, my business partner uses Kali for pen testing, and that's what I use it for, and it's actually got some social engineering tools in it, and it is fantastic. So how about showing us your gigabit installation, the equipment your provider gave you? My equipment provider literally gave me an ONT. It's mounted to the wall. It's not here. It's I didn't have them put it here. I had them put it somewhere else. But it's literally just an ONT. It's got fiber running into it, and then this white cable right here that you see that's bundled and zip tied, it runs and goes to the ONT. Jack Squat says, I switched from Kali to Parrot, never going back. Jack Squat, tell us in the comments, man, why you switched from Kali to Parrot. I've seen Parrot. I've never really played too much. I downloaded it, but I never did anything with it. Let's see here. When will Unifi implement proper traffic shaping? I don't know. When are we going to get multiple WAN IP addresses? When are we going to get fold SNAT, DNAT? I can't answer these questions, and they've not published a roadmap. So go out to the Ubiquiti community, start asking people out there. I'm assuming the more people that ask, maybe that I don't know what their prioritization is. I know no more about that than you guys do. So I would love to. I would love to be able to tell you that, but I can't because I don't know. What's your favorite log server? Yeah, we talked about Synology. I've played with Graylog, but Graylog is crazy complicated on the back end to get it up and going, but it's super powerful. If you're looking for analyzing your logs, you can use Splunk. There is no upgrade option for APs on device tab of the controller 5.9.29. Well, maybe they don't need an upgrade if the upgrade's not showing up. Smash that like button. Yeah, somebody said it for me there. I like Edge Router, but I use the USG Pro 4 for a lot of remote configuration. Once again, it comes down to personal preference. When I'm working with edge routers, a lot of times I'll work from the command line, which is perfect for UNMS at this point. But I will tell you the difference. So there's two differences. Well, there's three differences, obviously, big picture items between UNMS and Unifi. UNMS is not Unifi. It manages everything else. But it has two-factor authentication locally. And the notifications, if you've run UNMS and you've run Unifi, you will know that when a device goes down in UNMS, I have an alert right there. Boom, got an alert. Unifi takes me 5 minutes to get an alert. Unifi guys should talk to the UNMS guys and figure out how to take some of that magic out of UNMS and bring it over to Unifi. So, all right, I am trying to get through some of these questions here. My wife is giving me like some crazy hand signals, not any that I think I'm enjoying, but I think that means we've got to go grocery shopping. You know, Saturday's grocery day. Let me see here. Now, let's see. I pay $77 for 5 gigabit fiber. That's awesome. I pay $74 for 1 gigabit. No data caps. And I'm telling you, we are pushing that. I guarantee you. When is Unifi going to enable L3 routing on the HG switch? So the edge switches, if that's what you're talking about, the edge switches can do some L3 routing, but there's no NAT. There's no firewalling. So it's useless. Don't put it on the internet. Don't do that. Let's see here. So funny story. Somebody said that Calvin says my DSL was 1.544 from the start in 1999 in Oakland, California. So back in the day, you used to be able to get dry alarm loops, right? So what's a dry pair? A dry pair of copper literally runs from my house to somewhere else, no taps in the line, literally a dry pair of copper from point A to point B. And somebody figured that out and they bought a DSLAM and they started competing against, and this happened in Peoria, competing against Ameritech at the time. Ameritech saw that, changed the rules how you could get those lines, and killed that provider. But I kudos to that person. So somebody says, what I hate about certifications is the question. They don't test your knowledge. It seems they try to trick you and fail the test. Some folks, does seem like they do try to trick you, and some tests, and I'll tell you Microsoft exams, and I got to be careful what I say so I don't violate any NDAs here, but I will tell you that let's just go cross spectrum, because I even saw it on the Ubiquiti. I do have Ubiquiti certification, is that you can tell when the marketing department gets involved, right? So you'll have a question like, these 3 pieces of equipment run yada, 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 or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you know that that's the old version of whatever. If the answer is like upgrade to X, Marketing department wrote it. Choose upgrade. If you see upgrade to the latest and greatest, that's probably the answer. So, security onion. Yeah, security onion. Somebody commented that. So once again, I got another question about what do you think of the Unifi Protect versus video? I think that, like I said, you're going to have brand loyalists that are going to stick with it, but diversify, 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 diversify. All right, so got somebody else who's dropping the band hammer there. All right, so gotta run. Hey, Unky Joe, thanks for stopping by. Oh yeah, two-factor. Yeah, diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one vendor basket. That'd be horrible. Then what happens when that vendor goes out of business or that vendor gets bought out and things change? Because money drives everything, right? Ubiquiti is not putting out these products and everything at this low cost because they love you. They're putting it out there because they're making money. The company makes money. The point of the company is to make money and profit to the shareholders, right? That's the point of a business. So don't put everything in one basket, touch gear, order cheap gear off Amazon, go to my Amazon link, order a bunch of cheap gear, play with it. You can get a lot of good gear for low cost, but we are going to do some two-factor authentication stuff. So that's coming. And I'm going to wrap this up. I got to hop in the shower. I got to comb this beautiful mane. And we got to go get some groceries. So I appreciate everybody being here. I really am humbled. You keep me humble. I appreciate each and every one of you. I can't wait to do the security testing videos with you guys. It's going to be awesome. And I would love to do more of this all the time, but bills and stuff, so, but I do appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.